Oh, life isn't perfect.
Perfect imperfections. Fellow of the Royal Geographical Society, founder of the Loch Ness Project, Adrian Shine has finally discovered the truth about Nessie, the Loch Ness monster.
Okay.
And he should know he's dedicated 50 years of his life studying about her.
Oh, well.
So he obviously knows his Nessies. 50 years of sightings, photographs, sonders, and sleepless nights. And after meticulous analysis, the truth is, ta-da! Well, if you work on the Loch Ness Tourist Board, you may be disappointed, as all may not be as it seems. Loch Ness is probably the most famous Scottish lake uh, in the Highlands, and he's revealed the mystery for all to see.
Really.
Coincidentally, Mr. Shine has released a new book,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A Natural History of Sea Serpents. It starts to get a little bit more concentrated now.
Yeah.
Which covers the sea serpent of nautical folklore and how it fits into Loch Ness.
Right.
So once again, after 50 years dedication, the findings of Adrian are as follows. He revealed all, and so will I. About the subject, of course.
Yes.
The lumpy images that we see of Loch Ness with the humps, the
Yeah. Yeah.
several humps, are wakes kicked up after a boat passes by. Uh, Now, the wake of a boat can travel a long way in the water. So even though you may not see the boat, you can still see the wake. And after Nessie began to get her shout-outs, people naturally thought that the waves were her splendid elongated body moving through the Highland water. And the long necky and head shocks. No, we see that one.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
According to Mr. Shine, the swans or other water birds misconstrued as the head and neck of a larger animal.
Yeah.
Easy mistake to make if you're not an ornithologist,
Mm.
but have a vivid imagination, especially if you think there is more chance to meet a large sea serpent than a swan. Of course, the question which needs to be asked and answered is when exactly did Adrian Shine reach his conclusions? One would assume that the Loch Ness project was funded by somebody, and that the founder received somewhat of a recompense for his unadulterated dedication to the cause.
Yes. Okay.
Some may argue that it may have been better to keep stum over 49 of the 50 years.
Mm.
After all, you should never bite the hand that feeds you.
That's Nessie did it, of course.
Well, now that Mr. Shine, now that Mr. Shine is hitting around the 70-year-old mark,
Yeah.
he thought it was time to reveal what he knew.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Loch Ness may have to find another teaser for the tourists.
Oh, dear.
Loch Ness, home of the swans.
Yeah.
Does that ring any bells? Will that draw the crowds in? So there you are, guy who dedicated 50 years of his life drawing a salary, studying the possibility of is Nessie real, and what he came up with after 50 years is it's the wake of a boat or a swan. Over to you.
I'm very disappointed. I mean, you'll be telling me Father Christmas doesn't exist next.
You mean it doesn't?
Well, I don't know. Well, I've just said you'd be telling me next. You know, I mean, yeah. I mean, I've always been told. Yeah,
Of course he does, children.
yeah,
If there's any children watching this, of
yeah,
course he does.
yeah. Well, no, no, we're not. We're not. I haven't said he didn't. I said, you'll be telling me. Um, of course, Nessie exists. As I've always told, when something goes missing in anything, it's the Nessie syndrome. You know they're there, or it's there. You just can't find it.
Can't see it.
Um, no, I remember reading the 70s and the 80s on all this speculation. He's not told me anything already I wasn't aware of. Um, I mean, yeah, a landlocked lake. We must be talking about generations. I mean, I don't know how long sea serpents actually live for. Not they live thousands of years, a few years. Are we talking generations? Is there a family of them living there? I'm still talking about them in the present tense. I can't accept any of these findings. I'm sorry. He's now decided to cash in on a pension and write a book. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Well, if anybody should know, it would be him.
Well,
50 years on the job.
well, well, you know,
I mean,
um,
to me, he needs to ask himself, how have I managed to waste so much time?
well, yeah. I mean, look, look, if there's a vacancy to keep going for another few years, Steve and myself are volunteering for this research. Yeah, just to be absolutely sure. Yeah. I mean, does it come with a house, a good, expenses? You know, we'll happily do it remotely from here, won't we, Steve? Yeah, you pay us from here. We'll carry on. We've ever funded this research. We'll continue it. If anyone's got any pictures, send us some here. We'll we'll do a weekly podcast about it as well. Yeah. So, I mean, really, yeah. I mean, I'm disappointed. I mean, I grew up when I was a kid, uh, wanting to believe it, and I still want to believe it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could just imagine next week now. Up arises another picture as it suddenly emerged from somewhere. Yeah. Um, maybe if somebody's got some spare drones that float about, and I believe there's some in America, maybe they could go over there, start photographing it and everything. Um, yeah, I mean, I've seen all the images, something under the water and everything else. Who am I to judge? You know? Um,
It's a little bit like the syndrome of seeing a face on the moon.
yeah,
You look at a shadow and it looks like a face,
mm,
but it's not a face.
yeah,
And it's the same. That's the Saunders underwater. It looks like an animal because of the shadows
yeah.
and the way the water moves around. But is it really? You know.
I, I, I mean, actually, yeah. I mean, I believe around the area around Loch Ness is a very, very nice area to view and have a touristy venture around and hike around and everything else. Um, I just, I, I, I just, I'm partly disappointed somebody's finally come out and said it. What type of world are we living in? Where somebody actually unequivocally says that Nessie doesn't exist. It's a sick world. I'm sorry. I'm really getting a bit. It's upset me. Somebody has gone out and felt the need to say it. Honestly, I don't believe this. I mean, we're living in a world in an age where people can't even decide. I mean, the next question is this non-existent being, is this non-existent entity a male or a female? That's still an important question for me, you know, because we can't decide with people.
Well, one would assume if it's called Nessie, we're talking about Nessie, aren't we?
We are talking about Nessie, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. So one would assume it's a lady.
yeah. Well, there you go. You see, but you're making an assumption. Has anyone actually decided to figure out what its pronouns are, what she wants to be known as?
Well, from according to Mr. Shine,
Mm.
there are no pronouns because there's no Nessie.
Well, this is it. But yeah, I'm not buying that. Yeah, I'm not accepting it. I'm sorry. I just really am not accepting it. Yeah, I've gone off a different track here, but yeah, I am not accepting the science. He thinks I can believe what I want to believe. I identify as a Nessie believer,
Okay. Well,
whatever the science says. I'm identified as a Nessie believer. Yeah, amongst other things. Yeah, I the guy's only looked at photographs. Has he been under there? You know, I mean, they've got submersibles and everything there.
well, I don't know what I've been up to for the last 50 years, but
Well, this is not.
it isn't like five 50 minutes, you know.
Well, he could have arrived 10 minutes before, like 50 years ago, and just 10 minutes afterwards. The funding in between. That's it. It's like, yeah. It's, I, sorry, Steve. It's just, it's too much of a revelation for me. I'm having difficulty taking it. Yeah,
Well, there you
yeah,
are.
yeah. I'm upset now. You've ruined my day. I'm, I'm sorry. I just can't go on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and
Some of these brutal truths have just got to be said.
yeah.